Which ideology helps us to understand power the most? If we ask people of a more communist or socialist persuasion, they will focus on analyzing power from the lens of capital, or specifically speaking, of economic networks of power. The sociologist William Domhoff identifies 4 networks of power, and depending on which ideology you ask, power is truly constituted by one or a combination of these networks. The 4 networks are economic power, political power, military power, and ideological power. As I've mentioned, economic power is what people of a socialist or communist persuasion will focus on. They will look at the dynamics of capital and the structure of capitalist and imperialist exploitation, how it is found in the world today. This does not mean that they are entirely wrong if they neglect other networks of power, but you could assume that their picture is incomplete. In some sense, it becomes too reductionist when looking at ideological power and then merely reducing it down to the economic network of power. These various systems may be structurally coupled in certain ways, even correlate to some extent, but that does not mean that they causally, directly act upon each other. If I amass a lot of wealth, this does not necessarily mean that I can convert that wealth directly into ideological power. If you say that there is a certain ideological, liberal, democratic hegemony on the planet today, then this does not change even if there are rich oligarchs and entrepreneurs that have a totally different worldview. In some cases, the ideological power may be higher within a professor or journalist within a Western country than a multi-billionaire within a foreign or Middle Eastern or Far Eastern country. What different ideologies have in common, though, is that they do focus on power either in an attempt to wield it or in an attempt to resist and overthrow it. If you ask people from a more liberal or libertarian persuasion, they will focus on the state. And they will focus specifically on ideological and state political power, and their infringement and encroachment on individual liberties or the free market. Bertrand de Jouvenel, in his masterpiece on power, however, gives us a very different picture, namely that power, looking at it from a more holistic historical perspective, does not care about the ideology at all. In fact, it can use and employ any ideology or parts of ideologies whenever it sees it fit and useful and applicable to its particular needs. Quote, "It looks then as if the various theories, viewed historically, broaden down in such a way that they become more and more advantageous to power. A more easily observable phenomenon in each theory is its own evolution. Though in origin their purpose may be to place obstacles in power's path, yet in the end they serve it, whereas the opposite tendency of a theory advantageous in origin to power becoming its enemy is quite unknown. The conclusion is, then, that power possesses some mysterious force of attraction by which it can quickly bring to heel even the intellectual systems conceived to hurt it. There we see one of power's attributes. Something it is which endures, something which can produce both physical and moral effects. Can we yet say that we understand its nature? We cannot. Away then with these fine theories, which have taught us nothing of the essential and on the uncovering of power. Let us try, first of all, to be in, at its birth, or at least to intercept it as near a point as we can to its distant beginnings. This is why a historical analysis of power is crucial, which you will find at the course on the dynamics of power at Halcyon Guild, where I will be your instructor. I will see you there. Link is in the description.